welcome everyone. My name is Kate Buck, and today I am sitting down with Ben Blackmon from AdSkills to share his best case studies. Welcome, Ben.
Hey, thanks for having me. I really appreciate it, Kate.
I'm glad that you're here. Now, I hear that you have been crushing it, some really great case studies on Facebook ads and lots of stuff to share around tracking and analytics. But before we dive into all of that, I'd really love to hear a little bit about your story, about the path that you are on and what got you into media buying, what led you to this place where this is what you're up to and what you're doing.
Well, of course, I guess probably everybody's story is interesting, but mine, it just seemed to take a whole lot of twists and turns. And ultimately what it comes down to is that somewhere in, and I can't remember the exact year, I was like 2005 or 6 or something, I had some other companies, and one of them was a mortgage company, and I was doing a bunch of direct mail, and and so I decided, hey, I'm going to try this Google AdWords thing, and somehow it just worked, right? And I mean, I didn't know what I was doing, right? But the next thing you know, it was working, and some friends of mine told some other business owners in our local area here in Knoxville, and they came to me and said, hey, will you do ads for us? I'm like, sure, whatever, I'll do it. And so that's kind of how it all started, ultimately.
And then some of those twists and turns along the way, I know about your, you won second in a national sales letter contest with Dan Kennedy, and, have worked with a lot of the top online, gurus, so to speak, along the way.
Yeah, before I actually got into media buying, I loved direct mail. I just loved it, so Dan Kennedy, one of the grandfathers or whatever you want to call him of that kind of stuff. I followed him for a long time and just started really getting into it. And I tell you, Kate, I have mailed out everything you can possibly think of. I mean, I've mailed out basketballs, I've mailed out pill bottles, I've mailed out bank, you name it, and I've mailed it out. I love going to the post office with a bunch of stuff where the postal person's going, what has this guy got here? It was fun.
That was the lumpy mail strategy? That was called the lumpy mail strategy.
Yeah. But there's nothing better than showing up with a basketball with just a stamp on it, and them going, well, we can't mail this. I'm like, oh, yeah, you can. And it'll get there the next day. I promise. That will get there the next day because they won't let it sit around. But during that time period, I had done this, it was actually a 13-page sales letter, and then there was a whole follow-up sequence with pill bottles and all this other stuff to it. And a friend of mine said I should send it up because Dan was having his national sales letter contest. And so I sent it up to him, and they invited me to Nashville. And of course, that wasn't too far from me. So I went over there, and I mean, I will tell you what I had was really, not trying to brag, but it was pretty good. It was a good campaign, but the guy who won, it was phenomenal. It was amazing. But anyway, so that's how I got started on that.
Well, just so you know, this podcast is all about bragging, so don't feel shy about doing that at all. And I just want to comment that I bet all of that training and practice that you had in direct response in direct mail became very helpful to you when you started translating those tactics to the online space.
Well, that's a good point. It really does. I mean, all that training really helped me hone my skills as a copywriter, for one thing, which, I think that gets put on the back burner in a lot of ways in media buying. And I'm not really sure why, because it's still the crux of it all. Learning how to copyright. If I could impart one skill to most people, I was like, learn how to copyright better, And so it really taught me how to do that. Now it's changed a little bit depending on the particular platform that you're using, right? And so when I learned how to do copywriting, Facebook wasn't around yet, and so you didn't have social media ads per se. So it was a little different in the direction that you came from to make them work. But man, I can't be grateful enough to have learned that in so long ago. That was just really helped me.
That's really awesome. Thanks for sharing that. So my next question is, of course, then at somewhere along the way, you met Justin and John and all of us over here at AdSkills. And so I'd love to hear about how, somewhat selfishly anyway, about how the AdSkills community and training has helped you reach this next level of success?
And I'm glad you did ask that, because I've tried to impart this and say this to as many people, whether Justin and John and you, and where any of you guys even know this. I mean, I've told so many people this story, but before I tell you exactly how I got involved with that, the way I got involved was a friend of mine who's like this A-level copywriter. He doesn't even do ads at all. He was on Justin's email list. And he said, you should be following Justin. And I was like, and he actually knows Justin one way or another. And I was like, okay. So he forwarded me one email. I read it and I was like, oh my gosh, I'm hooked. I'm in. And so next thing you know, I'm consuming just as much, as I can, because I knew it was a winner. I mean, I have seen so much stuff out there, and there's been a lot of good stuff, but it's not like this. So when I got into the AdSkills community and got in Pro League and stuff, I mean, it allowed me to really get in touch with other media buyers and get in touch with Justin and John and figure out what I'm not doing correctly, what I can do better. And the first thing that I heard from those guys was, you better be tracking. If you're not tracking, you're going to be going. And that's pretty much true. And I took a hold of that and I took it to heart. And man, I dove right in with that. I mean, immediately. I knew that was what I needed to do. I knew that was the missing part of my business, that I wasn't doing a great job of tracking for my clients. Crazy.
Yeah, it sounds like you were kind of in a place where you're having some success. I mean, that first Google campaign right out the gate, already doing well, winning second place in a sales letter contest, but you're still always wondering, like, what am I missing? Like, where I know I could be doing better, but there's some sort of places that you have a blind spot. I guess that's a good way to say it. Like, you don't know what you don't know, so you go looking for someone who is an expert to kind of help you find those little avenues to optimize those things that you're already doing well, but you could be doing so much better. And I think there's someone that uses a analogy of like that 2 millimeters makes like a huge difference, just dialing in. Yeah. Would you say that?
Yeah. Yeah. And so, I think at Perry Marshall, it says, of course, I'm sure he heard it from somewhere. It says, little hinges swing big doors, right? I mean, that's the deal, right? I mean, you can do all this other stuff. And that's one of the things that I see out there in the especially in the Facebook ads world, is that it's so easy to input that the stuff that's really important, the marketing side, gets lost, especially from a tracking standpoint, and then kind of getting married to, Facebook's analytics, right? And not having some kind of third party verification that what you're getting is actually what you are getting, And so those little, just learning those little things, which yeah, in the beginning there's a learning curve, right? I mean, but there is for everything. But I mean, what business can you be in and not want to hone your skills and do better for your clients? Because the better you do for your clients, the more business you'll have. I mean, you're trying to create raving fans, right?
Absolutely. So that's a perfect segue, because I'd really love to hear about how you've been able to help your clients create those raving fans. And we are here raving fans of yours with some of these successes. So tell us about a couple of these different Facebook ad campaigns that you have run recently, and had success with.
Yeah. Okay. So, I'm glad to share this, because I mean, it's exciting, it's exciting to talk about. It's exciting when you have successful stuff going on and you're able to share that and say, hey, this is possible. If it's possible for me, of course it's possible for you. And so one of the most recent ones is a friend, well, I say a friend, she's a friend of mine now. It's a doctor who sells an autoimmune coaching program. Like, she helps people with autoimmune issues. And it's an incredible program. Of course, that doesn't hurt, right? But it's not good enough to have an incredible program. Right? You can't just have an incredible program, because if nobody knows about it, or you can't get in front of the right people, then it's not doing any good. And she was doing just fine, kind of riding on the coattails of just anybody being able to put in a Facebook ad and making it work. And then all of a sudden it started tanking, and ad accounts are getting shut down, and all these things are happening, and she's freaking out. And so she got referred to me, and I talked to her and took a look at it, and I was like, okay, let's start over. All right. Because we don't really have the data, for one thing, because you didn't set up the tracking. But I didn't say that to her, but I was thinking that, right? And most people don't. That's not a criticism. That's just the way it is. You know, we path of least resistance for most. And, you know, immediately got it started back in slowly but surely. And then I said, look, the one thing that you're not doing that could really make a difference here is you're not retargeting. And what's worse is you're not retargeting the right way. You know, most retargeting, it's just throw it against the wall and see what sticks. And I don't subscribe to that too much. And so we started retargeting and nearly doubled her business. So she's, if she's not already, I think she's pretty close to 7 figures already this year with it. And she's ecstatic. I mean, she has referred so many people to me. I had to tell her to quit, you know. I was like, just before you do, ask me first, you know. So it's been really amazing. So that was one really cool thing. And you know, just because of the kind of business and kind of clients I tend to take on, I really enjoy the part of, you know, they're helping people, you know, directly like that. And I'm able to help them get their message in front of people, because I believe you get back what you put out there. It's just that simple. If you're putting out there a bunch of trash, then that's what you're going to get back, you know. And it's just, so that part kind of makes me feel good, because I'm not like the coaching kind of guy, you know. That's not my gig, you know. I like doing what I do, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Not everybody wants to be out front and doing the whole, you know, show and whatnot, and have that's not necessarily their way of helping people, but your way is being their support and helping the people who do have that message to share, to get it out there to more people. And I don't think, you know, I think they're both just as important. They kind of go hand in hand, like that whole yin and yang. One without the other is not really effective. You started out saying that if you have a message but no one's hearing it, then you're not really making that much of a difference. So that's where you come in. That's
exactly right. And in, you know, in her case, you know, she was doing it all via automated webinars, right? And so there was some negativity surrounding that from some of her peer group, right, of doing it that way. And you know, once we started really getting this rolling, I mean, she quit. She had a 20-year medical practice. That's gone. She quit doing that, right? Because this was a way that she could really help people and really get her message out in front of them. And it's just been amazing, amazing for her. You know, I mean, I'm just along for the ride. It's been fun. So on that.
Awesome. And you have another coaching client with a mastermind. Would you like to tell us a little bit about that? Also, looks like with a webinar and a live event and all that.
Yeah. Now, so hers is a little different. I know, again, she has amazing stuff. I mean, you pay attention to it and you're like, I'm in, you know, I've got to have this, right? So let's not take away from that. But, you know, the marketing side, the technical part, all that she doesn't want to have anything to do with that, right? She wants somebody else to do it. And that's where I came in. And she had another pretty well-known agency out there. And it's not that they weren't doing a good job or anything like that, but I think she needed more personal attention or something along those lines, and really wanted to have it run a little differently. And, you know, I came in the same situation. The tracking wasn't there. There was some analytics. I don't know where they were, you know, and I was like, okay, I'm not sure what's going on here, but doesn't matter. Let's get started. And what she wanted to do was drive traffic to a 5-day training delivered via email. And I can't remember exactly, but I think it's around the 3rd or 4th email, she pitches a $2,000 program that she has. And her CFO told her this wouldn't work, right? She had other people said, this is not going to work. You know, nobody's going to buy a $2,000 program, you know, running a Facebook ad and then a training. No, nobody's going to do that. Well, with her in her particular case, I asked her, I said, as I do everybody, I was like, okay, look, what's the most you're willing to pay for one client, right? And she said $2,000. Well, that's how much her program is. And so how many people do that? So a lot of people are like, well, you know, $10, I don't know, 20. And so she's like $2,000. And I was like, okay, because she knows that on her back end that she, you know, she's going to sell X amount for 20,000 in her mastermind, which is an amazing experience, just so you know. And so, you know, I said, okay, let's go. So, you know, fortunately, and she's ecstatic about this, we don't have to spend $2,000 to get a sale. But nevertheless, it's more than what most people would be willing to spend. But she knows and she understands her numbers. And part of the reason that she understands them is because I'm able to deliver to her what her metrics are, right? We can talk about them intelligently and say, hey, this is what's going on. This part's working. This part's not working. You know, we need to tweak this or do that. And that's what makes the whole process work. I mean, if you're not doing that on a regular basis with the person who's running your ads, then you're probably not having much success, or not the success that you should be having. And not that it's the funnest thing to do, right? But it's a necessary part, right? And that's the whole thing, you know? So anyway.
I think there's a lot of business owners out there when you have your initial consultation that don't know their numbers, not even just around their ads, but like what's the lifetime value of a single customer or client to them? The question that you ask, what would it be worth to you to acquire just one of those? How much are you willing to spend? So a lot of times it sounds like you do a little bit of the hand-holding, so to speak, if they don't have those numbers sorted out, but they're right there, where just knowing those numbers makes such a big difference, because now you can create the game plan once the tracking and all of that gets in place. Yeah.
Yeah, that's it exactly. And I'm a big believer that it's not one size fits all from a process or a funnel standpoint, right? So you've got, in just this particular case, you got one client doing automated webinars, killing it. You got the other one. She's going to hit, I believe she's going to hit close to 3 million by the end of the year. And so she's tripled her business with doing it. Yeah, I'm just saying that, and she does a completely different process, you know? So, it's just important to understand it and to evaluate it, and not be, hey, the grass is greener, this isn't working, or this one little part's not working, so we better jump on this other method. Right?
Totally.
Yeah, that doesn't work, does it?
No. Yeah, it doesn't work. It doesn't work at all. So it sounds like to me, because also earlier you mentioned that your client was making a lot of referrals. So it sounds like to me you get a lot of referrals, and that there might be like a certain type of client that you're looking for, or certain criteria in the clients that you're looking for, and maybe just a certain type that you like to work with. I heard you say you like helping people that are making a difference. So what types of referrals and clients do you sort of vet for? Where's their business at, or the people that you think that you can really help specifically?
Sure. And so my specific type are generally coaches, usually life coaches, health coaches, and business coaches, who have an established service that they're selling. Right? They're not just starting out with it, but even more importantly than that, it's their mindset to marketing, right? So from a paid ad standpoint, if they're going into paid ads and and we're chatting, and the first thing they want to know is, when I tell them their budget, what I think it was going to cost them budget wise, if they start saying, okay, but do we have to keep spending that much? And I'm thinking, the question should be, when can we spend more? And so so that's what I'm looking for. And it just means that maybe they're not there yet. Doesn't mean anything's wrong. So that's the kind of client. Now, I also have some clients in some real micro, and some people say niches. I say a niche. Of course, I am from Tennessee. What can I tell you? But like in these really micro niches, like this economist, right, who sells a program, and, to people who like that kind of stuff. So, I really like the thought of that too, because it's really interesting to get those kind of things out there. But those are my ideal clients, and I love them. I mean, I have good relationships with all of them. So, yeah.
Well, if anyone's listening to this and they fit that criteria, or they want to just reach out and have a conversation with you about what they're up to and how you could support them, what is the best way for them to reach you?
Well, I'm just going to tell you two ways, okay? And I'll pre-qualify the second one in just a second, but you can email me, Ben, that's not B-I-N. Yes, I know it sounds like that. That's just my accent. So it's B-E-N as in Benjamin at 1, O-N-E, not the number 1, focusmarketing.com. So Ben at 1focusmarketing.com. The other way is, and I always tell people this, I'm like, the good news thing about doing Facebook ads all day, and I do other networks as well, but doing Facebook ads all day is, well, I'm on Facebook all day. But the bad thing is I'm on Facebook all day. Okay.
Day.
The cool thing is that
I feel your pain.
the thing is that much like I really have taken my cue from John and Justin, and you can message me on Facebook. I'm pretty accessible. I've never had a problem with that. And if you want to message me on Facebook, go right ahead. I mean, that's perfectly fine too.
It looks like if you pull up that's ONE, focusmarketing.com, they can click to hit you up in Messenger right there from the website.
They certainly
awesome.
Can.
All right. Well, it has been my pleasure to chat with you this afternoon. Thank you so much for being here.
Okay. Thank you. I really appreciate it.
You're absolutely welcome. And thanks to everyone for listening in. We'll see you, or we'll hear you, or we'll talk to you on the next episode.
If you'd like to learn more about how to use paid traffic and analytics to scale your business, subscribe to the AdSkills channel so you'll be notified every time new content is released. If you'd like to learn more about the topic we just discussed, check out the related video we're posting right now.